This is what we do on a daily basis, day in and day out, looking at data, trying to figure out what it is that's working in Spokane, Washington, all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and seeing how we can really cater to clients to deliver the best information possible to them and the best results to them, and the information back to you through these webinars and through the education. So excited to get into it today.
There we are. Welcome everybody to the Conquering Google Maps, the Local Fame Awaits webinar. We're going to dive into all things Google Maps. So I guess we have this up there. We should probably talk a little bit about that and maybe do a little slideshow for y'all so you can see what we got on the go. So excited to dive in. So for those that don't know who we are, I'm Thaddeus. He's Evan. Maybe he's Evan, depending on what screen you're looking at. It's reversed. He's Evan. I'm Thaddeus. So I forgot about that with the mirror technology on things. So and we're from On Purpose Media, and this is what we do day in, day out, as the video showed, onpurposemedia.ca, and we do all things home service marketing for websites, search engine optimization, PPC. Been in the business for over 4 years, and in marketing itself, I've been since 2014, Evan since 2015. So quite a bit of wealth of knowledge, and excited to drop some of that information for y'all today.
And before that, I was a comfort advisor working in an HVAC company. So getting that hands-on knowledge and experience within the industry. This isn't just something that we threw together and said, hey, let's work on the home services because then we don't have to wear a suit and tie. It's really who we are. It's what we do. It's what we've been around for the last 10 years.
Right. I mean, it says you. I did it because I didn't want to wear a suit and tie anymore. Actually, although I will admit though that a very well tailored suit that is like actually custom for you feels really good to wear.
Fits like a glove.
So, well, let's dive in terms of, gotta change this. That's what I'm looking for. The agenda. So a couple things we're going to cover. So enhancing your local marketing. I'll talk about efforts by using Google Maps and local search ads. Learn some of the strategies that will maximize your impact in your local community. It's kind of the idea and what you're going to get out of it today. And of course, we're going to dive into dominating Google Maps using multiple Google business profiles. By the way, that's a fun one. I like that. It's almost like a ninja hack in a sense. We're going to talk very briefly on an intro to local service ads. And the reason being is that you can actually, when you use Google Maps in local service ad or LSA, if you hear us say LSA, that's what we're referencing, using some of that together. And we'll give you guys some of those goods as well. And if you stay tuned to the very end, we're gonna give you a way to be able to get a handout on a bunch of cool stuff and some extra goodies involved in that. So, Evan, why don't you talk us through why Google Maps matters?
Look, at the end of the day, as a home service business, the number one thing that we care about is phone calls into the business, form fills into the business, and booked jobs that we can then run. And so Searchlight, they're a company that collects data and puts together some fantastic reports around this. According to their most recent reports that they put out around the Google business profile, the customer acquisition cost, the CAC, as it's referred to, is only $85 when you're talking about a Google business profile lead that comes into your business and ends up being about a 22x ROI. And I mean, a good ROI, usually like a good break even ROI, is around 5 to 6 for most businesses after you factor in all of your overhead and everything else that goes into that. So when we're talking about 22x, that's something that we need to be doubling down on and tripling down on to see how much can we maximize out of this. And for a lot of businesses, 75% of their closed revenue came from Google My Business. So incredibly impactful for driving phone calls and book jobs into the business.
Well, I 100% agree with that. And it's because you think about consumer sentiment and how does an individual and a consumer search in today's day and age? Well, if you're a home service business and it's a repair item, AC repair, drain cleaning, lights won't turn on, smoke coming on my electrical box, right? Those sorts of emergency things, they're turning to Google still, and they're looking at Google Maps. In fact, we polled our team members, because I asked the question, because someone was like, yeah, I had to chat with Gary V, and he's talking about there's other things about 5 years down the road. Well, I asked our team, okay, where do you go? Well, on some things, they were going to Instagram. For services such as this, every single one of them said they're going to Google first. And I would probably say over half of them were like, I'm looking at Google, the Google Map pack. the Google business profiles. I'm looking at reviews. I'm reading reviews. And I'm going to the website. So
Well, and
super
even the data
important.
that was put out by Hardy at EGIA's Epic a couple months ago there, I guess a month ago now. Number one result was friends and family, word of mouth. It's still a huge driver of business, but number two was Google. Because when you're in a pinch and you have an emergency happening, this is exactly where people go. Nobody goes to Facebook for that answer.
Right. They're not going to TikTok to look at videos on to try to find a company for this disaster related items. So,
Exactly.
um,
Yeah.
that's why it matters. Now we want to talk a little bit about the dominate the Google Maps and how you can do that inside of your business. Well, this one fairly straightforward in terms of setting up your Google business profile. I'm assuming most people already have that, but for those that don't, or you might want to look at setting up a second Google business profile, and we'll probably talk more about that later on. So walk us through some of the quick things that somebody might want to look at doing inside of it in terms of setting it up. And I guess both we'll kind of kill two birds with one stone, assuming that most people already have it set up by this juncture, right? Talk about optimizing your profile.
For sure. So the first thing is just make sure you fill it all out, right? It asks for your business information. Put in your real business information. You want to have keywords within your business name, ideally. If your business name is heating and cooling, well, cooling usually isn't a search term that people are using. So having air conditioning in your name is impactful. If you're setting up a second profile, which we'll talk about later, having the location in your business name is impactful. And so if you don't have this, go get a DBA so that you can follow the rules. That is the main thing that people overlook is they do not follow Google's guidelines when it comes to how to set up a profile. You need to have your real business operating name in there, and a DBA will satisfy their requirements for what your business name can be.
What's a DBA?
Doing business as. So it's just a legal sheet of paper that says my business is also named this. Really
Perfect.
simple.
Yeah, just want to make sure because some people might hear the lingo in the lexicon. They're like, "What is he talking about?" So
100%.
appreciate that. Now, in
In
terms of
regards to I was just gonna say, in
optimizing it, yeah,
regards to setting up a profile, we do have a handout that's part of this. You'll get it at the end. You'll be able to text us, and you can get that handout sent out to you, and it walks through step by step how to set up a Google Business profile.
perfect. Now let's dive in a little bit about some of the optimizations that one might want to make on their Google business profile to be able to maximize their results.
Yeah, I mean, some of the obvious ones, make sure you have your hours in there. Whether or not your business is open or not is a determining factor as to whether your profile will show. So make sure that you have your hours in there. Ideally, you have them for as long as possible, but you want to make sure that you can actually answer the phone. So if you don't have an after hours service or you don't have someone who answers the calls late at night, then don't put that on there because you will get negative reviews from clients if you do. Um, you want to make sure that you have your accurate address information in there. If you are working out of your house, it's more difficult to get that address verified. It is still possible, but it's not as easy and simple as getting it verified if you are operating out of a business. You do have the option to have your address not shown. However, it does affect your ranking factors. So getting an office location as quickly as possible, incredibly important. A description that lists out all of your services, making sure that that's all taken care of. And then your primary service category, making sure that you're picking the right category for that. Why do I say the right category? Well, because oftentimes when you look at search results and you're looking for something like air conditioning repair and you're in the heat of the summer, well, you can set air conditioning repair as a primary category, or you can set HVAC contractor as your primary category, or you can set air conditioning contractor or heating repair service or heating contractor. So there's so many different variables that you can look at there, and you provide all those services. Which one do I choose? You want to pick the one that's getting the most traffic. Okay. Oftentimes in the summer, that's AC repair. Now, you don't want to be flip flopping these constantly, but doing it twice a year, we've not seen big impacts with this. You may get slapped with a re-verification where they just ask to re-verify your profile when you change it, but it takes a couple days at most to get it flipped back on, as long as you follow the process and do it quickly.
No, perfect. And it's good to know that you might have to go through the re-verification process. as well. And so being strategic on when you might want to do that as well, and
Mhm.
looking at, okay, well, I'm going to do that on June 1st. Well, probably not advisable. March 1st, if you're thinking again seasonalities, right? Knowing when your business is slower and when it's not. Two things that you said in there, and I wanted to just really highlight. One is the hours, and so Google had a core algorithm update lately for Google Business Profiles, where if your office hours were 8 till 5, as an example, Monday through Friday, your rankings would show up a lot higher for that 8 to 5 if somebody's searching drain cleaning near me, or plumber near me, or AC repair near me, or whatever the search terms are. Uh, if they searched at 6 o'clock at night and your hours weren't open, it actually push your hours down, or your rankings down a little bit. So being cautious and aware of that. And when you're able to take calls, okay, making sure that if I'm going to say 24/7, 365. Okay, well, what if nobody answers outside of the hours of 8 till 5? You've actually done a disservice. And that's where Evan said you're going to get the negative reviews. So just be cautious and careful of that. The other one, you mentioned getting a business or a location. So what about like co-op workspaces, where I can rent a completely open area in there? That are those something? Is that something that I can do to be able to get my business verified or have a physical address?
So the co-op workspaces are a little bit, they are more difficult to get verified. If it is a known workspace, it will be near impossible to get verified. If it is an unknown workspace, meaning it's not part of like the Regis Corporation or something like that, you might be able to get away with it if you've got a dedicated door where you can go in and you've got signage up and you can show that there's a desk. Like one of the steps in the verification process now that Google is going to heavily is the video verification. So they want a 90-second or less video of you showing the outside of the building, signage on the outside of the building, ideally a vehicle that's out there as well. You're unlocking the door with your key so that they can see that this is actually your building. You've got signage inside, and you've got a desk with a computer and a phone somewhere where people are able to greet the person as they're coming in the building. If you don't have those things, it's a lot more difficult to get verified. So that's why you need a real physical location and not a co-op space.
Makes sense, and I'm glad that you put that in there, because I think that's valuable information. Because some people get confused that they can do that. Same logic applies to UPS boxes or whatever, right? Same thing. You have to be able to physically show those things. So, um,
Correct.
now that we've optimized our profile, a few things that I think are really important to be able to do is the power of reviews. We mentioned that earlier a little bit when we pulled our team, and they're like, "Well, I look at the reviews." So, how important are reviews to a Google Business Profile? And I'm going to add another one in there. How can somebody get more Google reviews to their Google Business Profile?
I mean, ask and you shall receive, right? If you're not asking for it, or you're simply relying on just a text message or an email to go out and it only goes out one time, that's one of the biggest failures in most businesses, and why they only have a 5 to 15% review response rate. If you're not actively pursuing reviews and getting your technicians to actively pursue reviews, you're leaving opportunities on the table. When you say how important is it? Well, when you look at your competitors in the market and they have 500, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 reviews, there's a lot to catch up on there, right? But when you think about how many calls you run, especially in the summertime, it's really easy to start to play catch up there. So having a benchmark or a goal in mind of how many reviews you want to go after, I think is incredibly important. But what's interesting is we're starting to see more and more, it's not just about the total amount of reviews, but the consistency that the reviews are coming in that's making a good amount of difference. And this is both on the Google Business Profile and on local service ads. So making sure that you're consistently getting reviews on an ongoing basis is going to make a big difference in whether or not your listing is going to show up. In terms of how to get more, well, we've got a whole script for you in the handout. So make sure you text the number at the end of the webinar so that you can get your hands on that handout and you can see the script. But I will say this: customers are 10 times more likely to leave a review for a technician than they are a company. And this is one of the reasons why that text message that goes out after the fact is less effective than a tech on the call showing them the QR code and asking quite simply, do you know how to leave a Google review, or would you like me to show you? It's just like with your kids, it's a yes or yes response. Either way, you're getting them to do what it is that you want them to do, right? But how do we lead them down that road? How do we lead them down that path? And so having an actual script of how to generate those reviews is incredibly important.
Perfect. I love that. And I love the fact that it's going to be in that handout for everybody at the end. So, all right. Power of multiple Google business profiles. We've talked a little bit about this. We've hinted at it about the ability to have multiple Google business profiles. How does it work and why should somebody do it?
Well, let me paint a
And
picture.
when? And when?
Mm. Let me paint a picture for you. So one of our clients in January, because this is just when I pulled the stats and when I looked at it, in the month of January, they had 348 Google Business Profile phone calls, so directly from their GMB, and of those, 172 were unique new phone numbers. Okay, so this is in their CRM. So that's 170 new clients calling their business. Did all of them book jobs? Of course not. There was that cold spell that ripped through in January. They weren't able to book everyone, but they had 172 new unique calls to the business. How much would that cost your business on Google Ads?
A lot.
Right? Like a ton of money. So to rent a second location, even in the most expensive markets for an office and maybe a small warehouse, is incredibly advantageous to most businesses. Okay. To rent your first office so that you can actually get your business profile listed and increase your rankings is incredibly advantageous for a business. You will drive results by doing this. Proximity is a ranking factor. There's only so far out from your location that any marketing company can get your rankings to increase on the map pack. Eventually, it will reach a point that you need a second, a third, a fourth location so that you can start to generate more phone calls from those areas. Pick areas that are going to be more advantageous to the business, ideal clients, things like that. Know your market, know where it is that you want to target and you want more phone calls from, but make sure that you've got an actual location that you can do that verification video. And if you're renting the space anyways, you may as well keep some equipment there and some parts there so that it's easier for your technicians as they're running calls in that area. They can pick up the parts and go run those calls.
Is there a point where when somebody should really look at doing that, or is it just a matter of do you have the resources in order to be able to do it? And I guess density of the city where you're at location.
For me, it comes down to the review generation, right? If you can consistently generate 30 to 50 reviews a week onto your profile, then you're definitely ready for a second profile because you're going to have to split those reviews. Because again, the consistency at which you're generating reviews on your profile is going to help your performance. So if you can now consistently get 15 to 30 reviews on each profile, well, you're going to continue to rank both of them really well.
Perfect. I love that. So, um, we've got all this. We've got the reviews. Now people are searching. You've optimized everything, and there's an ability to use Google Maps and local service ads together. And now we understand that a lot of what we're talking about today is Google Business Profile, but there's a way that LSA can work with inside of this, or local search ads and Google Guaranteed. And I'm going to take this one from you, Evan, because I wanted to put it in here based off of something on a video that I sent to our team. And when you look at Google Maps and local service ads or Google Guaranteed, right? That's the green check mark that you see beside a business name. If you search on your phone and you can play along with me and just go AC repair near me or furnace repair near me or whatever search term you want to use, I like to default to AC repair because most people have an air conditioner in their house and they understand it. You're going to see a series of different results. You're going to see some Google Guaranteed. You're going to see some Google pay-per-click ads. You're going to see the map pack. But here's what's happening inside the map pack is Google Guaranteed is now showing up in the Google Business Profile results in the rankings. And so it's important to be able to leverage and utilize these together for the amount of times that you can potentially be seen when somebody searches out for your products or services. And that's kind of the important part of what I really wanted to highlight. And about as far as I really wanted to go, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else into that other than, hey, you got to be doing LSA.
Yeah, I mean, where it is if you expand the map listings, that's when they show up. If you're on a desktop computer, then it'll just show the green check mark beside the listings that have that. Um, Both are review generations. So if you generate a review on your Google Business Profile, it will carry over onto your LSA as well. Currently, Google is saying it's not a determining factor which side the review comes from. However, you'll notice that when you get an LSA review, it does say a verified review because you can send a separate review link from your Google LSA profile. and you can connect it back to the calls that you ran from your LSA calls. So it's kind of like the writing on the wall there a little bit, where Google's saying it doesn't matter, but they're kind of hinting towards it does. So being able to ask for reviews from there as well is going to drive up your call volume from your LSA account as well. And going back to the last point, talking about multiple profiles, you can set up secondary LSA accounts tied to a new GMB. The one thing you cannot do, and this is something that will absolutely completely take your results down to zero on your LSA, is set up two LSA accounts tied back to the same Google business profile. Your calls will go to zero. So make sure that you have separate GMBs if you're setting up separate LSA accounts.
There you go. Good information to be able to have. So we actually had a little bit of Google LSA in here, and as well as your Google Maps details in terms of maximizing your local reach. So quickly walk us through these, and we'll carry on to the next one.
Absolutely. So making sure your location info is the same. Now, this is across the entire interwebs. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's on Yelp, Facebook, anything. You want to make sure that your phone number, your address, your website, all of it matches, and it's consistent across every single directory listing on the internet. I know a lot of people want to track results when it comes from Facebook or it comes from Yelp or anything like that. Yelp ads, you can change the number so that just your Yelp ads account, you're able to get the call tracking data back from your Yelp ads. Same with Facebook ads. But on your actual profiles themselves, you want to make sure that you have the consistent number and it's matching everywhere. Update your map listing regularly, making sure that you're staying on top of it. And if it's not you, it's your marketing company. Having consistent communication there about what's happening. You can post to it. You can update your services. You can update your primary category depending on the seasonality of that. And then make sure you're targeting your local area. Again, focus on areas or focus your ads on people who are looking for your services nearby. You can run ads off of your GMB as well, which, let's face it, it's one of the easiest ad performing or ad products that Google has is the GMB ads and the LSA ads. So making sure that you're running those, I think it's incredibly impactful. It's low hanging fruit. It's why a lot of top companies do it. But what's interesting is on the LSA accounts, Google will try to fulfill a lot of small budgets on that towards the end of the month. So having a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 budget, $1 million budget, I've seen some accounts that we've brought on as clients and we've looked at that. They're just trying to get as many leads as possible through the platform, but it actually ends up hurting their results more than helping it. And that's coming back to the last one, which is check your results. If the results aren't showing up and you're not getting the results that you want, you need to keep an eye on it. You need to measure it. If you're not managing what it is that you're expecting out of it, then you're not going to get the results.
Oh, and I like that. And again, it's performance monitors, performance gained. If you're not keeping an eye on those things, or having your marketing company keep an eye on those things, well, you have to, right? It's keeping an eye on those numbers and the KPIs and the metrics that go involved in that. And so, I mean, this all comes to a finality, a finality. Making up words here, just making up words. It's Canadianese. So maintaining a consistent online presence, right? And really, when all of this comes together, this is what happens: is you're able to maintain consistency online. When you go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, it doesn't really serve your business any well. You don't get a predictable lead flow. And so doing all these things yourself allows you to be able to do that. Now, if you're thinking, okay, well, what if I don't want to do it all myself? Well, we just spent 23 minutes telling you how you can do it all yourself. Why don't we take a few minutes and talk about how we could help you out should you want to be able to do that? So a few things that we do, what we offer: local SEO. Evans, walk us through, what are those little green things? What do those even mean? What's that look like? I'm confused, huh? Some people might be thinking that. I'm not. I'm just saying some people.
Yeah, so these are heat maps. So basically, your Google business profile is located in the middle of that map, and then those points all around it are, if I'm sitting in my living room in this part of the city and I'm searching for your service, AC repair, heating repair, plumber, electrician near me, where are you showing up on the map pack rankings itself? So this is something we pay a lot of attention to because, like we alluded to throughout the entire call, GMB drives results, GBP drives results. It's the same thing. Google just changed the name for some reason, but it drives results, it drives phone calls. We want to stay on top of this. We want to continue to expand that circle out further and further, making sure that it's green across the board.
Perfect. And that's via everything that we talked about before. If you don't want to do it yourself, well, guess what? Hire us or another marketing company for that matter, but obviously us first and foremost. Now, there's more that goes
Well,
involved
and
in SEO too, right? There's also the website and off page and all those good things that go involved in SEO, and this is just one part of it.
And if you haven't seen one of these grids for yourself or one of these heat maps for yourself, send us a text. You can reach out to us you can text us and say, help me to 719-824-1377. And we'll be sure to hop on a call with you, send you your map rankings so you can see where it is that you're showing up, how you're showing up, and be able to give you that piece of information and a second opinion on how you're showing up online right now.
And no obligation, by the way. So the other one, website design. Obviously, websites matter in Google business profile rankings. Some people say it doesn't. Some people say it does, and well, we believe it does. And so having a good website that sends the information onwards is what matters there. And you can see a couple of the designs of what we've done. Really, if you don't have a good website and a consumer sees your Google business profile, and actually, this came from one of our team. She's like, well, if I search for an AC repair or whatever, if I go there, read some reviews, they've got good reviews, they've got a good fully optimized profile, everything looks amazing. Then she clicks on the website and the website doesn't look very good. She gone in a hurry. Right. So making sure that your website looks good and is designed for the consumer as well as Google at the end of the day. And that's really a key thing. So if you've ever been struggling with your website, reach out. I mean, you can use that same line, text help me to that same number, right? We both clicked it. So 719-824-1377. And we'll help you out with a website audit via Loom. We send you a video on things that you can do yourself should you want to improve it, or take it to whoever to be able to look at that. And the last thing that we do is Google Pay Per Click or Google Ads. So also a fun one.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see the results here speak for themselves. Now, I will say these are complete campaign results for clients. So there's some branded search and search terms within those. So you can see the really high rate there in the middle, 43%. Certainly something that we aspire to for all clients. But at the end of the day, it's about driving phone calls to the business. And, PPC is one of those areas where you can lose your shirt in a hurry. We did a webinar on this a couple months ago. And not paying attention to negatives, not paying attention to your ad sets, your landing pages, etc., you can lose a lot of money really, really, really fast on pay-per-click ads. And so this is one that I would definitely recommend hiring out, or at least hiring internally, so you've got someone who is dedicated to this, because it is incredibly important to bringing in new customers, but also profitability and maintaining profitability as a company.
Nope, I love that. And of course, if you just want to take a look, well, guess what? Help me to 719-824-1377. Sounds like an infomercial where they're doing all those things all the time. Not the infomercial, the charity, like when they raise the money in the charity and call this number and do your donations.
The hotline.
Yeah, the hotline. So perfect. So, and if you're like, hey, you know what? I just want to have a discovery call with you guys. You guys provided enough value here today for me to just say, okay, let's just hop on a call. Let's find out if we're a good fit for each other. Straight on over to onpurposemedia.ca/book-a-call. It should just be like discovery. Now I'm thinking about this, but hey, onpurposemedia.ca/book a call. Head on over to that link. It'll be a calendar pop up. You can have a discovery call with us to see if we're going to be a good fit for each other. Now, the last thing that we said that we would do is we would say we'd give you a handout, a whole bunch of all goodies on there. So all you have to do, it's a different number, by the way. So text Google Business Profile to 855-968-4116. So text GBP to 855-968-4116. We'll send you the handout and all those good details from there.
Absolutely. So yeah, included in that, you're going to get the review script, how to ask for reviews, how to teach your technicians how to ask for reviews. And there's other goodies within that as well, going all the way from the CSR and the expectation that you're setting right from the beginning of the call, all the way through to running the call and asking for a review. There's an extra post in there on backlinks and how you can generate more backlinks for your business, because that's again, an SEO thing, and Google Business Profile is part of your SEO. So making sure that you're generating good links back to your company. and then how to set up a Google business profile. If you're a brand new business and you've never done it before, there's lots of resources out there on the interwebs that teach you how to do it, but we're going to put it all in this handout for you, so you know exactly how it is that you can put together your Google business profile.
Excellent. Well, we thank you for watching the entire webinar. Hopefully you got some value in this and be able to take some actionable key insights and steps to be able to help you conquer your Google Maps. And until next time.
Cheers.
If you like what you heard today, you can hit us up and get a marketing analysis done on your business to know if you're on pace or if you're off pace. Head on to the link that's on your screen, onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. Book a time with us and we'll go over and give you all of the details. No obligations, by the way, on whether your marketing is on point or whether it's not. Of course, we also want to see you on our socials. We got our Facebook, we got our Instagram, we got our Threads, we got our TikTok. Give us a follow.